Adam Steiner was elected city councilor for District 3, which includes precincts 4 and 7. Now, Adam was born and raised in Framingham. He actually went to Potter Road and Walsh and Framingham North. He's been a town meeting member for the past 5 years. So what is it that made you want to step up and become a city councilor?
Well, as you mentioned, I've been in town meeting for 5 years. So really for the last 5, a little more than that, I've wanted to get more involved in, the running of Framingham. And town meeting was a good step for that. But with, 2 younger children at home, and I also have been working on a PhD for the last 6 years, I didn't feel like I could do that much more. One thing I was able to do was to start a Facebook group to really allow for more discussion about issues that are facing Framingham. So that's sort of been the last few years. Then, over the summer, at the beginning of the summer, I finished my PhD. I started to realize that my kids could actually do a lot more on their own. They didn't need daddy standing behind them all the time. And I thought, there's a voice maybe missing in this city debate with our councilors, our people who've announced they're going to run for councilor. And so I talked to my wife, I talked to a couple people who I trust in Framingham, and they said, yeah, you should go for it. And it felt right. So.
Was it what you expected, the process, everything from beginning until the election?
No, I mean, I didn't really know exactly what to expect. But once I was in, I felt like I wanted to give it my all. And that meant doing forums, discussions, events, as well as, the usual family things, all at the same time. So it's really been intense, more intense than I expected. The other thing I found, the first time I knocked on a door to introduce myself, I felt uncomfortable. But over the course of the summer, I probably did that 400, 500 times. And by the end, I kind of liked it. It was nice to meet people, to chat, to get out and get fresh air and see neighborhoods that have been in my hometown forever, but that I haven't necessarily visited.
It's a lot different when you're walking than when you're riding by in a car, isn't it?
It is,
when you walk, and knocking on the doors. People actually answer, don't they?
They do.
Yeah.
And except for one notable exception, people were always friendly to me and willing to chat, and I think, and really wanted to share something about their lives or their hopes for the new city of Framingham. So that was really rewarding to be able to do that.
So what's your big issue? Like, what is it that, as a councilor, that you're hoping you can tackle or address that's really something of great interest to you, and now that you're in this role, you feel you might be able to really get into it?
Well, there's 2 things that come to mind. One is that I think that the charter debate and then this current election did a really good job of energizing people from all over Framingham, different backgrounds, different interests, individuals, families, businesses. But at the same time, there was also some really stark divisions drawn when it came to the election and the charter debate. And so to me, we as a city council and with our new mayor, we need to work to maintain that energy that came from all these different groups and also heal those divides. So that to me is like job number 1 for all of us. Specific to me, and especially for the people of District 3, we've got to look at development and the impact it's having on our daily lives when it comes to traffic, when it comes to our water and sewer bills, our taxes, the fact that our schools are becoming overcrowded or are overcrowded. And so that means really looking strategically at developments like the Millwood development, potential Fafford, Knobscott Plaza, which we all want something to happen there.
Sure.
But we have to be smart about that because it's really easy, and Mount Wade, there's several of these things, and when you put them all together, they could have a really bad impact if we don't do them right. So we need to be patient, we need to be thoughtful, we need to bring people together around the same table, our new city officials, the landowners, developers, as well as community members, and come up with solutions that are going to be profitable for business owners, landowners, but also serve all of us in the long term too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And so if you, 3 years down the road, look back, what do you want to see that you've been able to accomplish? I mean, it may be related to what you just said, or it may not. What are you hoping you can have an impact on?
Well, generally the unique character of Framingham is maintained, and part of that's related to that. The fact that we have farms that are real working farms that you can go to and experience. that we have great neighborhoods with people of all different kinds living side by side, and that we have thriving businesses, and an excellent school system, which I'm a product of. There's nothing I feared more with the charter debate than that somehow, depending on who was elected, somehow our school system would be shortchanged or challenged in ways that we haven't experienced before.
Sure.
So while that's mainly going to be up to the school committee, I, as a city council member, definitely want to be a supporter of the schools, push for the resources that they're going to need to maintain an excellent school system.
Is it all about money? I mean, the budget is always a tough thing to tackle, and the school department, of course, does use up the largest portion of the budget. How do you think you should approach the budget, or the council will deal with the budget going forward? Any thoughts on that at this point, or is it too early? What do you think?
I think in general we need to be proactive because I think some may think, well, the mayor develops a budget and our job as a city council is just to either approve it or reject it. But to me, we need to develop a collaborative relationship as that budget is being developed. And the city council needs to play a role in that, in looking at all of our departments, including the school department, to find ways that, that there are potential sources of efficiency so that we can reduce spending or think about spending in ways that will allow it to be reduced.
Okay. What do you want people to know about you and your approach to this new role?
I think my greatest strength is as a listener, and maybe that comes from being an educator. I taught history for 8 years, and now I work in a school system working with kids and teachers around computers.
Which school system is that?
Holliston.
Okay.
So I've been in Holliston for 5 years. The thing about teaching computers and working with teachers is that they're so stressed out with their daily lives and the demands we put on them. Classes full of kids, standardized tests, meetings. That to walk in and say, oh, you should do this innovative thing with computers, it's really hard to do that unless you're able to have a give and take, understand their challenges, and come up with ways to use technology that'll make their job easier as well as doing exciting things. And to me, that kind of listening, critical listening and being thoughtful is what's going to help our city be the most successful. And that means that decisions need to be the product of the collective wisdom of residents, of business owners, of our government officials, that there can't be anything done in a vacuum. I mean, and it's kind of cliche, I think all the candidates talked about getting around and hearing from people, but I really think it's true that we can't know everything. We can't develop answers just based on our own experiences. We need to be really good at listening and hearing from people what their concerns are, what they see are the major issues, using all that information to develop answers that make sense for everybody.
Well, great. Thank you so much. It's great to give people a really good view of who our city councilors are. Adam Steiner, City Councilor for District 3.